Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 5 of the Skyrim Ultimate Modding Guide, or some guide. I decided to change it from the massive modding manual because I was afraid no one would find it or know that it has anything to do with Skyrim, giving it that name, and so it is now the Skyrim Ultimate Modding Guide, or some guide. So welcome to episode 5 of the some guide. You've made it this far, so I'm going to move a little bit more quickly. Go to the very first link in the video description and download the hishi_npc_record_forwarding.pas file manually, and download the striped BSA for default settings, and you can actually mod manager download this one. Now go to the second link in the video description, the GitHub link, and copy every single bit of text in this GitHub link. Make sure you've gotten it all. It's a long one. We're still going here. It's still going. There's a lot here. This is still happening. Copy this whole thing. Make sure you've got every word. Scroll through it and make sure you've got everything all the way down to the second time it says end at the bottom. Get it all and then copy it. Paste it all into a new text file and save it to your desktop or anywhere really, so long as you remember where it went, as mteFunctions.pas. That's mteFunctions.pas. All files. Save it. Now go to wherever you downloaded the first file in the very top link. It should be called hishi_npc_recordforwarding.pas. Extract that file. Now open up the extracted folder and you should see a hishi_npc_recordforwarding.pas file in there. You're going to take both this file and the one you just copied into a new text and saved as mteFunctions.pas, and you're going to paste them both into the edit scripts folder of your SSE edit program. So find where you've saved SSE edit, the program, in my case, all consolidated under modding tools and programs. Go into the edit scripts folder and take both the hishi_npc_forwarding.pas file. You'll see in my case I've already got it in there because I've already done this. And the mteFunctions.pas file, drag it in there as well. Again, I've already done this, so I'm just going to be replacing the file. Make sure you're dragging both of those files into SSE Edit's Edit Scripts folder. We're going to need both of those later when we run SSE Edit. Those are scripts that we can run from within SSE Edit that will help us clean up one of the mods that does not work without a little tweaking. Now that you've added those two files to the Edit Scripts folder of your SSE Edit install location, go on through the list in the video description and download everything I've linked there. Go ahead, I'll wait. I'm not really going to wait. Pause the video. Pause it. I'm getting ready to move on. Pause the video. Have you paused it yet? Go download all those things. Okay, once everything has downloaded, start with Apachii Skyhair v1.6, and you're going to have to manually select the data folder because Mod Organizer does not recognize a data folder on the top level, and that's because of all these little sample JPEGs they've stuck in here, and like a README and tutorials and all kinds of stuff. So you're just going to right-click the data folder at the top, or the little file that says data with a checkbox next to it. And you can always make sure that's the right thing by if you drop it down and it's got the meshes and the textures and the ESMs or ESPs within it, you know you've got the right folder. Either way, we already know what to do here. I've done this before. Right-click the data folder, select Set Data Directory. And then if you get this message in green, looks good, then you're good. We want to rename this before you install it. 40 space Apachii Skyhair SSE. Hit OK. Once Apachii Skyhair has finished extracting its files, tick the checkbox to install it and move on to Apachii Skyhair Female SSE 1.5.0.0 standalone. Right-click Data at the top and click Set Data Directory. You should get Looks Good in green and have meshes, textures, and Apachii Hair Females.esm underneath the little data directory here. Let's name this one differently. It's going to think we're trying to install the same mod again because it came up with the same title. Mod Organizer does not recognize that this is a separate file that is a standalone of extra hairs. So go ahead and click one of the other names in the dropdown, and let's call this 41 Apachii Skyhair Female v1.5 optimized and hit OK. Once that has finished, click the checkbox to install it. You should have 40 Apachii Skyhair and 41 Apachii Skyhair Female 1.5 optimized. Now let's move on to Apachii Skyhair Male. This is another standalone and another one that Mod Organizer does not recognize the data folder. No game data on top level, so just, again, right-click data, select Set Data Directory. You should get a green. Looks good. You're going to want to change the name of this again. Click the drop-down and select Apachii Skyhair Male V12 optimized and rename this to number 42 in our mods list and hit OK. When that has finished extracting, click the checkbox to install it and move on to find KS Hairdos SSE. Double click and let's name this number 43 and click OK. Now, a lot of these are large files that will take a while to extract. Pause the video and wait for extraction to complete and then resume. KS Hairdos SSE number 43. Click the checkbox to install. Now find the KS Hairdos SSE ESP only, and it should say if you hover over it, updated.esp for SSE, that is Skyrim Special Edition, format. Let this overwrite the main file. Find the file that says that, double click it. It's going to think you're trying to reinstall the same mod with the same name, so you're going to have to click the drop down and find ESP only. That will help us remember what this is exactly and name it 44 space KS Hairdos SSE-ESP only and click OK. That one's going to be a fast extraction because, as the title says, it is an ESP only. All this does is simply replace the KS Hairdos ESP and overwrite it with an ESP that is Skyrim Special Edition friendly. Now this next one was a manual download, so go into your archives, find Ethereal Elven Overhaul, and click OK. Mod Organizer will ask you for the data directory. Simply, you can check this if you want, make sure the ESP and the meshes and textures are in there. When you drop it down, simply find the data directory, right-click, set data directory. It should say looks good in green. Now we're going to name this 45 space Ethereal Elven Overhaul. Click OK. When that has finished extracting, click the checkbox to install Ethereal Elven Overhaul and then find a mod that should in your downloads tab just say Special Edition Patch. It won't be till you hover over it that it will reveal itself to be an Ethereal Elven Overhaul patch for Skyrim Special Edition. Double click it and we're going to just rename it. Actually, that's pretty good. Let's just call it Ethereal Elven Overhaul Special Edition Patch and number it 46. Space, click OK. Once that has finished extracting, click the checkbox to install it, and it's going to overwrite a file within Ethereal Elven Overhaul, but we actually want to go in and delete a couple of things from number 45 Ethereal Elven Overhaul. So double click that, go into File Tree, go into Meshes, Actors, Character, and delete the entire folder entitled FaceGen Data. Right click, delete, yes. Now go into Textures, Actors, Character, and delete the other folder entitled FaceGen Data. Delete. Now close that and right-click the Ethereal Elven Overhaul.esp and delete it. Click Yes. Now close. Once you've done that, there should no longer be anything overwritten in the original Ethereal Elven Overhaul by the Ethereal Elven Overhaul Special Edition patch. If you still get a little lightning bolt saying something is being overwritten, you might just want to de-tick these and re-tick them. Moving on, you're going to hover over a file called Cutting Room Floor Patch and see that it as well is a patch for Ethereal Elven Overhaul. You're going to double click that. Click the drop down. Select Cutting Room Floor Patch and put before that, to keep all these things easily recognizable and in order. Actually, first 47. No, I take that back. We're going to merge these later. So just call this Ethereal Elven Overhaul Cutting Room Floor Patch. Click OK. Now tick the checkbox. Now find one called Opulent Theives Guild. And when you hover over it, you'll see that it as well is an Ethereal Elven Overhaul patch. Double click, click the drop down, select Opulent Theives Guild patch and put before it Ethereal Elven Overhaul Opulent Theives Guild patch. Select OK. Tick the checkbox. Now find one in your mod organizer downloads tab called Revenge of the Enemies, and if you hover over it, you'll see that it, as well, surprise surprise, is an Ethereal Elven Overhaul patch for Revenge of the Enemies, which we are going to install. A couple of these might not make sense to you. You're like, what is Opulent Theives Guild? What is Revenge of the Enemies? These are patches we're installing because we are going to install those mods later. So select Revenge of the Enemies, 2016, whatever, don't even worry about all that, delete all this. We're just going to name this Ethereal Elven Overhaul Revenge of the Enemies patch. Click OK. Tick the checkbox. Now click the Plugins tab and take a look at these Ethereal Elven Overhaul patches. 2 of them are giving you warnings saying they are missing masters. That would be the Opulent Thieves Guild patch and the Rebirth Monster patch, which is just what the ESP for the mod Revenge of the Enemies is called. We are going to merge all 3 of these patches into one ESP to lessen our load order and give us room for more mods. However, as I mentioned before in this series, SSE Edit will not let us merge these patches when the masters to which these patches depend are not yet installed. Therefore, we're not going to merge these just yet, but we will be doing so after installing Opulent Thieves Guild and Rebirth Monster, otherwise known as Revenge of the Enemies. You'll notice I've also got Realistic Water 2 I Need ESP deselected, despite the fact that this particular patch does not have I Need listed as a master. Just to be safe, I'm deselecting that when I'm loading up the game for testing purposes. So go ahead and deselect the EEO Rebirth Monster patch and the EEO Opulent Thieves Guild patch to get rid of the red warning flags, making sure to remember to reselect them once we've got these mods installed, which you don't have to carry the entire burden of remembering that on your shoulders. I will be reminding you all. Just follow my guide step by step. Moving on, go to your Install from Archive button at the top left of the mod organizer window and click that and find the Eyes of Beauty archive that you've just previously downloaded and select Open. Name this one 47, the Eyes of Beauty. Actually, I take that back. All of those Ethereal Elven Overhaul patches that we are going to merge will take up 1 slot, even when they are merged. So name this 48, the Eyes of Beauty. Select OK. Once that has been installed, check the checkbox and go back up to open another archive from your downloads, this time selecting the Eyes of Beauty Elven Edition, which is actually just titled TEOB Elven Edition. Find that archive and select OK. Rename this, for the sake of keeping everything orderly and understanding what everything is, the full title, The Eyes of Beauty Elven Edition, and 49. Tick the checkbox to install. Go back up to install another archive and find Eyes of Beauty NPC Eyes Texture Replacer. Select that archive and click Open. Now, I might be a little OCD about these things, but these are all titled The Eyes of Beauty, and this one just says Eye of Beauty. I want to change that so that they're all uniform. The Eyes of Beauty NPC Eye Texture Replacer, and call this 50. Click OK. Click the checkbox to activate that mod. Now find Improved Eyes Skyrim and double click it. Leave complete selected, hit next, and just leave this on complete full. Leave this as it is, none and no Dawn Guard selected, hit next. Leave this as it is, none and none, and hit install. Now tick the checkbox and move this above the Eyes of Beauty in the priority. So the priority column over here should show 51 and then 52 being the Eyes of Beauty. The reason for that is I like the Eyes of Beauty eye replacers more than I like Improved Eyes Skyrim, but Improved Eyes Skyrim does add, if you look in the conflicts tab, 8 non-conflicted files, and we do want those because there are some nice eyes in there. I think I just slightly prefer the Eyes of Beauty, so I want those to overwrite, which yes, does mean that I numbered these incorrectly. It was something I just thought of. Almost all of this is going to change anyways once we merge some of these patches. So as long as we're keeping them numerical, even if maybe we've skipped a number or two. That's all that really matters. And once we install the masters for which some of these merges depend on, we'll go through here and make sure that all of these are numbered correctly once again. So you should have Ethereal Elven Overhaul along with its patches, followed by Improved Eyes Skyrim, followed by the Eyes of Beauty and the Eyes of Beauty Elven Edition, and finally the Eyes of Beauty NPC Eyes Texture Replacer. Now go to your Downloads tab and find Immersive Wenches. Where the fuck is it? Okay, now go to the Downloads tab of Mod Organizer and find Immersive Wenches. There should be 3 files entitled Immersive Wenches. One of them is the main file, one of them is a patch for Immersive Citizens, and one of them is a patch so that the wenches can use Apachii hairs, which we've just installed. So find the main file and install it first. Let's call this 52 Immersive Wenches. Click OK. Tick the checkbox to activate it, and then find the Immersive Wenches Apachii hair patch and double click it. Select the drop down to select Immersive Wenches Apachii hairs patch and simply drop a 53 in front of that and select OK. Once that has extracted, tick the checkbox to install the Immersive Wenches Apachii hairs patch, and then go back over to your Downloads tab and find the Immersive Wenches Immersive AI Overhaul patch. Click the drop down and select Immersive Wenches Immersive Citizens AI Overhaul patch, which actually I don't really need the full name here. I won't be able to see it all at a glance. So let's just delete that and call it Immersive Wenches Immersive Citizens patch and 54 and hit OK. Moving on, find WICO in your Downloads tab, and that stands for Windsong Immersive Character Overhaul or something like that. I probably didn't get that right. Double click to install. Once that has opened up for you, let's go ahead and bring this out, and I'm going to go ahead and title this one 55 space, and we're going to go to custom and click next. On this next screen, the only thing that's really important is that you do not click the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch compatible patch. You just, the USSEP compatible patch, leave that unticked. Even though you do have the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch, leave that unticked because we're going to do something that's going to make this redundant and unnecessary in a moment anyways. Now, I like to select the clean body textures and the less flush face textures, but that's up to you. But at the very least, do not check the USSEP compatible patch checkbox. Leave it empty and click next. That's it. Click install. This is just a thank you. So click install. Now tick the checkbox to install. Now we're going to have to fix up this mod a little bit. So if you have not downloaded the top 2 files that are linked in the video description below that I mentioned at the top of this video, the WICO cleanup script that is titled Hishi _NPC something or other, and copied and pasted the mteFunctions.pas file into a text file. If you have not done those things, go back. You will not be able to proceed if you have not done those things. If you have, make sure that on plugins, you've got your WICO immersive character and immersive people at the bottom. Actually, go ahead and untick this Immersive Wenches Immersive Citizens patch, as we do not have Immersive Citizens installed and we don't want SSE edit throwing up any red flags or warnings. And there will be a few things we will have to retick once we get all of our mod list installed and some of these masters upon which these patches depend are installed. But do not worry, as I've said, I will go through in a video and make sure we do that when the time is right. So just, if you're worried about all of these, like, oh, I gotta remember this, just don't worry, take a breath, I will help you. Okay, so make sure that WICO immersive people, you don't really have to worry about immersive character. You don't need to worry where it's at. We're not going to be selecting it. But make sure immersive people is at the very bottom of your load order, and then select SSE edit from the drop-down executables list within Mod Organizer and click Run. Now right-click and select None. Now select only the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch.esp, cuttingroomfloor.esp, and WICO immersive people.esp, and select OK. Once the background loader has finished, right-click Immersive People and select Apply Script. This is where we're going to find and apply the script we downloaded earlier called Hishi_MPC record forwarding. So find the Hishi_MPC_record forwarding script and select it, and make sure that it is selected in this drop down bar above, right to the directly to the right of where it says script, and select OK. Now it's going to ask you to choose what fields are altered or overwritten in Immersive People in the WICO immersivpeople.esp. Leave everything checked as it is. I know my weird resolution thing is making it so that you can't even hardly see these checkboxes anyways, but just leave them as they are. Now select the left of the two boxes at the bottom of this window. I know you can't see mine, but just trust me. Hopefully you can actually read yours. Click that box and let it run. It's going to have to add a master to Immersive People, which is Skyrim, unofficial Skyrim special edition patch. Do you want to continue? Select yes. It will also need to add cutting room floor as a master. Do you want to continue? Select yes. Now before you're done, right click WICO Immersive People and select Sort Masters. Now close SSE Edit, and you'll get a dialog box telling you you've made changes to the immersivepeople.esp file and asking you if you want to save. You're going to select OK. Now in your overwrite folder, you'll notice that we've got a new WICO immersivepeople.esp and a backup file in case we messed anything up. You're going to right click the override folder and create mod and title it 56 WICO SSE edit cleanup patch, and select OK and tick the box. Now when you look at your plugins on the right hand side of Mod Organizer and hover over WICO Immersive People, you should see that the origin of this ESP is no longer 55 WICO Windsong Immersive Character Overhaul, but is now 56 WICO SSE edit cleanup patch. Now in your Downloads tab, find the striped BSA for default. Should be one of the first files you downloaded at the top of the video. Double click it, call this 57 WICO BSA patch, and click OK. Now you can tick this checkbox to allow it to overwrite the BSA that is already existing within 55 WICO Windsong Immersive Character Overhaul, or what I like to do is just open the folders up in Explorer, open up the original WICO Windsong Immersive Character folder as well, and minimize Mod Organizer, and you can just drag and drop the BSA from the WICO BSA patch into 55 WICO Windsong Immersive Character Overhaul and replace the file in the destination and close out of both of these. Now you'll notice when you go back into Mod Organizer that this WICO BSA patch now has nothing in it except a meta.ini file. And you should notice, and if you hover over it now, it'll say contains no ESP, ESM, ESL, and no assets directory. And if you go into the WICO Windsong Immersive Character Overhaul number 55 and go to the file tree, you should notice that the Immersive People BSA now has a different date, 12/8/16. So close that and then untick 57 WICO BSA patch, and you can just remove it. The only thing in there now is a meta.ini file. Now go into your Downloads tab and find Diversity and NPC Overhaul and double click it. Call this 57 space Diversity. Alright, once Diversity has finally finished extracting, tick the checkbox to install it, and then find in your Downloads tab Feminine Khajiit Textures and double click it. Let's call this number 58 space Feminine Khajiit Textures and hit next. I'm going to go with the 4K resolution pack. I might recommend for medium rigs that you install the 2K, but if you want the full modded to hell experience, we're going to go with the 4K resolution pack. Hit next. Now I prefer the gray cat version of this, but you might prefer leopard. Look them over and see which one you prefer and select it and click next. On chest variations, this is really up to you. I kind of prefer for the Khajiits for them to be a little athletic looking and have abs, so I'm going to just leave it on the default and select install. Once that is done, tick the checkbox and move on to Feminine Argonian Textures. Let's name this one 59 space Feminine Argonian Textures, and similar setup to the last one. You're going to choose 4K or 2K. You're going to choose Chameleon or Lizard. I prefer Chameleon. Make whichever choice suits you best. Click Next. And on this one, I like the default abs selection, and I'm going to hit install. Once that has finished, tick the checkbox to install and move on to something called Gray Cat and Leopard that when you hover over will say masculine Khajiit Textures Gray Cat and Leopard. And this is the 4K resolution version. There was also a 2K resolution version. I've provided them both in the description below so that you can make a choice. Double click. Title this 60 space masculine Khajiit Textures. Click Next. I prefer the Gray Cat. If you prefer Leopard instead, change it to Leopard and click Next. I prefer Humanoid on this, although the abs one is kind of cool too, but I'm just going to leave it set on the default and hit install. When that has finished extracting, tick the checkbox next to 60 masculine Khajiit Textures. And now find Chameleon and Lizard, and when you hover over that mod, it should say Masculine Argonian Textures. Now, I don't think there was a 4K version of this, or if there was, I did not see it. I'm going to title this one 61, space, hit Next. Leave it on Chameleon, which I prefer. If you prefer Lizard, select that and hit Next. I'm going to leave this on the default heavy scales, which I prefer, and hit install. When that has finished extracting, tick the checkbox to install it. Now we're going to find Normal Map Fix SSE and double click it. Title this one 62 space Normal Map Fix SSE and hit OK. Tick the checkbox to install. Now we're going to find Bijin War Maidens. I don't know if I'm saying that mod author's name right, but it's Bijin, and you'll find several files that are titled Bijin something or other. Now on War Maidens, we're going to select all in one. We're going to actually title this 63 space Bijin War Maidens and hit Next. You're going to select the No Wrinkles version and hit Next. UNP body and install. Once that has finished extracting, tick the checkbox to install and find Bijin Wives and double click it. On Bijin Wives or Bijin or whatever this guy's, however you pronounce this guy's name, we're going to title this 64 space and all in one again. Select Next, UNP body and install. Tick the checkbox and find Bijin NPCs. Double click. Title this one 65 space Bijin NPCs and leave it on all in one and hit Next. Leave it on, well actually on this one you can pick whichever hair you like. If you like the lighter brown hair or the darker hair, just make your choice. I don't think it matters too much. I'm going to leave it on Hi Babe and select Next. And non-wrinkles and select Next. Non-wrinkles, Next. Maven we're going to leave with wrinkles and select Next. And UNP body, leave that selected and select Install. Tick the checkbox to install that, and now find Serena Holic SSE and double click. Let's title this one 66 space, leave it on UNP body and select Next. This one is going to be up to you. I kind of like the yellow eye. I just think it looks interesting, but you can select from all these different options for Serena. And if you get any sort of neck seams, which I didn't, and I've already tested this, so I'm assuming you won't either as you're following the exact same steps I've gone through. But if you do get a neck seam with Serena, you can select the yellow eye with the 100 weight, or any of these eyes with the 100 weight. We're going to leave it on yellow eye plus default, and I don't think you'll need any of the weight 100 options, as I've already tested this and gotten no neck seam with weight 20. But you might, in a moment, we'll call her up in the console and make sure she looks all right, okay? And you guys can do it with me. At any rate, select whichever eye you want, and I would suggest you select one of the default weight 20 versions. I'm going to leave it on yellow eye because I just think it's interesting, and I'm going to select next. Now on the makeup type, you can select human style or vampire style. I'm going to leave it on human and select install. Tick the checkbox to install. Now find Valerica SSE and double click. Make sure you click the drop-down menu here, as Mod Organizer is going to think you're trying to install Serenaholic before, and if you leave this and try to install it, it'll try to replace the one you've just installed. So click the drop-down, select Valerica, and type in 67 space. Leave it on UMP body and select next. I prefer the yellow eye. You can select whichever you like here and select next. Hair color black. I've also seen some pictures of the wine red and it's pretty neat, but I'm going to leave it on default and select next. Leave her on non-wrinkles and select install. Now tick the checkbox next to 67 Valerica. Now find the Serena high-res skin texture and double click. Do you guys say Serena or Serana? Am I saying it wrong? At any rate, select the Serena high-res skin texture and title this 68. All right, now leave it on UMP body and select install. And that's just simply going to overwrite our Serena textures. There's no ESP in that file. Neither is there one in the one we're about to install, which is the Valerica high-res skin texture. Find that and double click it. Let's call this one 69. Whoops, that is not what I wanted at all. 69. Serena high-res. No, that's not right. Make sure you select Valerica. Valerica high-res skin texture. There we go. And 69. And leave it on UMP body and install. Take the checkbox. Now find Bijin or Bijin, or however you say this mod author's name, AIO space SSE dash Serana, and double click it. And call this one 70 space Bijin all in one and select OK. Tick the checkbox. Now, this ESP is a merged plugin of all of these we've just installed, all of the War Maidens, the Wives, the NPCs, Serana, and Valerica. So you still need the texture replacers, but you do not need the ESPs from any of these Bijin files anymore, or the Serenaholic or Valerica, because this is an all-in-one that covers them all. And you'll see that under Enabled Masters for Bijin AIO SSE, you do not require any of the War Maidens ESP, the Wives ESP, the NPCs ESP, or any of that. So you can actually deactivate these ESPs, but we want the rest of the files contained within. So how do we do that, Aaron? How do we do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. You're going to double click each of these files, starting with Bijin War Maidens. Go to optional ESPs. And all you're going to do, you're going to see under available ESPs down here is the Bijin War Maidens.esp. We're simply going to click this left upward arrow to move it from available ESPs to optional ESPs. And you'll notice when we do that and close out that the ESP here in the load order window pane of Mod Organizer will disappear. So close that, and you'll see it is gone. Now move on to Wives, double click it, go to optional ESPs, move the Bijin Wives up to optional by clicking the arrow, and select close, and watch it disappear. Now move on to NPCs, optional ESPs, select, move it up into optional, select close, and goodbye Bijin NPCs. Now find Serenaholic and optional ESPs and move Serana up to optional and close. Now go into Valerica SSE, optional ESPs, find Valerica and move her up into optional ESPs and click close. Now go into your downloads tab and find RSSE Children Overhaul and double click. Let's title this one 71 space RS Children Overhaul and click next. On this main screen, we want the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch ticked Now here we're just going to select the 2K Aventus and Wanderer outfit and select Install. Tick the checkbox to activate. Now find UNP Female Body Renewal, a female face and body replacer, and double click. Title this 72 space UNP Female Body Renewal. I prefer pinup. You can select whichever you prefer and click next. We're going to select TBBP/bouncing and select next. Here you can select whatever you prefer. I was going to install one of these underwear options this time, as I want to be careful about being able to keep this series viewable and monetized. However, for the sake of testing a few things later that I want to test, I'm probably going to have to leave this on nude so that I can see what I'm doing. I'll explain that later perhaps. At any rate, pick whichever you like here. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to leave mine on the default nude and select next. Here you can select 2K or 4K textures. I'm going to select 4K. Keep in mind with all of this that we are going for the modded to hell experience, and if you want something a little lighter, a little easier on your computer, be sure when I do all of these that you find the 2K texture versions if you prefer them. So for example, for the feminine Khajiit and Argonian textures and the masculine Khajiit and Argonian textures, you might want to do 2K instead, and here you might want to do 2K instead. I'm doing 4K, but that is up to you. Now let's click next. And I am personally going to go no scars and with pubic hair. There are several options here. You can have no scars and completely shaved. You can have scars and shaved, or scars and pubes. I'm going no scars and with pubic hair. This is completely subjective. Click next. For normal map options, I'm going to go with default, or possibly smooth, because I've always tried to go with a scarred up character, and I've never seen this. Might be interesting to see what this is like. But let's just go with, I'm going to go with default and select next. Specular map options, leave that at default and select next. And on subsurface map options, because of the EMB we are going to install later, you're going to want to select black here, or you will get kind of an odd glow on the character's skin later on once we install our EMB. Now select next. And this option is up to you. You'll get 29 extra standalone eyebrows if you select this. However, I would rather download this separately later, as I can then merge it into several other aesthetic mods such as beards and other brows and other eyes and things like that. I'm going to eventually merge all those mods together into one, so I prefer to download this later, and you probably will too, as if you select it now, it has to activate an ESP, and we're just going to download it later and merge it into a bunch of other character add-on mods. So I would leave that deselected and select install. Now tick the checkbox to activate, and finally find beards 4K resolution. There's also a 2K resolution version. You can install that if you feel more comfortable with that. I'm going to install the 4K resolution, and I'm going to title this one 73 beards 4K resolution and select OK. Now tick the checkbox to activate. And finally, one last thing. Do you remember the RS Children Cutting Room floor patch we installed long ago? Well, now we have RS Children installed. So double click the RSC-CRF patch, and let's title this RS Children Cutting Room floor patch. And actually, let's put this at 72. Slight change of mind on that. Just so that it can be right under RS Children. I'm going to drag it up to position 72 in the priority column, although technically it's 75 because we did not title the Ethereal Elven Overhaul patches since we're going to merge them. At any rate, let's title the UMP Female Body Renewal 73 and Beards 4K Resolution 74, and we are done. Now select Loot from the Executables drop-down menu and select Run. Now click the little 3 bars at the top that if you hover over them read Sort Plugins, and it kind of looks like a little half Wi-Fi signal. After the load order has sorted, hit the big Apply button to apply, and select Close. Once that has sorted, select SKSE from the Executables dropdown, and let's jump in there and test out our save. Okay, now jump in here, run around, explore, especially this time around, take note of NPCs' faces, their looks, their neck seams, if there are any, hopefully there aren't, make sure there's none of that going on. You'll notice that with everything that we've done that the NPCs, hopefully, should look a hell of a lot better for you than the standard vanilla game. So just kind of, for this test, just run around and take especially note of that. Here are our immersive wenches strolling into town. They all look good. Especially keep an eye out for the dreaded black face bug to get diversity and WICO and Ethereal Elven Overhaul and Baijin NPCs all working correctly together and playing nice. Sometimes you will get the dreaded black face bug, so we want to make sure we're not getting that. So check a lot of NPCs, look around, make sure nobody's got the black face bug. And oh, Faendal has got some face problems. Okay, so we're gonna want to fix Faendal. He's got the dreaded black face bug. Actually, it's not quite the same as the typical black face bug. There's definitely some weird face tint issue going on though. So let's fix him. This will be actually a good opportunity for me to show you guys how to fix it if you do run into any black face bugs in your test. And there's definitely something wrong with Faendal. So let's get out of here and fix him. And I will, this will be a good chance for me to show you guys how to do that if you run into this problem. So what you're going to want to do is jump into SSE Edit and right click and select None. And now just select anything that affects the NPCs. So we're going to want WICO, Ethereal Elven Overhaul, Diversity, Baijin, probably RS Children too, just because it affects so many tent maps and things. And then let's see, go ahead and select the unofficial Skyrim special edition patch and the cutting room floor.esp and the rskyrimchildren.esm, WICO immersive people, and go ahead and select the Ethereal Elven Overhaul cutting room floor patch as well, and select OK. Okay, once the background loader has finished, let's go into Ethereal Elven Overhaul and go into the non-player character actor submenu and find Faendal. He should be fairly close to the top. Here he is, Faendal 000134880. We'll need to remember that in a moment. So if you click on Faendal, you can actually see what files are affecting Faendal and in what order. So you'll see that since Ethereal Elven Overhaul is the last in our order, it is the final mod or file affecting Faendal. And if you scroll down, you can see anything highlighted in pink is basically a conflict between mods. So you can see Diversity is using Red Robin Light, Red Robin under head parts, and WICO and the unofficial Skyrim patch and Ethereal Elven Overhaul are all using something called Hair Male Dark Elf 09. And if you go down to Face Morph, you can see that there are some conflicts here as well between these different files and how they affect the character's face. And then also some conflicts in the tint color. So basically what we want to do to fix Faendal is resolve these conflicts by taking the mod that you want to have precedence and be sort of the final authority in Faendal's load order of all the things that affect him, and create a new mod that overwrites everything else. And I'm going to show you how to do that. In this case, we're going to let Diversity take precedence because it is last in the load order before Ethereal Elven Overhaul. And since Ethereal Elven Overhaul is currently the last mod affecting him, and he's apparently not working, we're going to let one of these other mods, just for this character, take precedence and sort of overwrite everything. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So go into diversity and find Faendal. So you're going to need to remember that he is 000134880. That is his ID. So go into diversity, non-player character actor, and scroll down until you see 000134880. There he is, Faendal. Okay. So now we are within, this is very important, make sure that you've selected him within diversity and not within Ethereal, Elven, Overhaul, or something else. Just right click his name and select copy as override into. Yes, I'm absolutely sure. And we're going to create a new file and hit OK. We don't want to copy into one of the existing mods. And let's just call this Faendal Fix and hit OK. To continue, the following files need to be added to faendalfix.esp as masters: diversity and NPC Overhaul.esp and Skyrim.esm. Do you want to continue? Select yes. Now you'll see that we've got a mod that basically has taken the records of Faendal from diversity and overwritten everything else to come last in the load order. And this should hopefully fix our problem. So now just close SSE edit. And you'll see we've got a new mod here. It's telling you, in this case, most of the time this will pop up when you've altered something. In our case, we've created something completely new. Select OK. And right click your overwrite bar and select create mod. And let's call this Faendal Fix. Actually, if you get this problem more, you are going to repeat the same process, and you can overwrite into this mod over and over, and we could just call it NPC Face Fixes or NPC Black Face Fix. And then every time you repeat this process, if you run into another character that's got the dreaded blackface, you can do this again, only copy as overwrite into this same mod or into this same ESP that we've just created. So you could do that and just call it NPC Blackface Fix, and that way if you run into a bunch, you can copy all of those overwrite records into this same mod. But for now, let's just call this Faendal, because he's the only problem we've found so far, and we can always change the name of it later. So let's just create a new mod called Faendal and select OK. Now let's title this 75 and tick the checkbox. And now let's go to SKSE in the executables dropdown and jump back into our game and see if Faendal is fixed. Okay, so here we go. Faendal, where are you? Let's find Faendal. Gotta search for Faendal. Let's hunt down Faendal. And Faendal is fixed. Look at that. Hello, Faendal. Glad to see you no longer have the dreaded blackface bug. So that's how you fix that, guys. So run around and check everybody. And if you get any more like that, just repeat that process. Find whichever mod you would like to take precedence and just copy it. You can either create a new one or you can copy it as override into the same one we created for Faendal and just merge all sort of NPC blackface fixes into one ESP. I mean, that would be better for your load order, so I would recommend it. But yeah, Faendal is fixed, so that is awesome, and it's good that he's the only, hopefully he'll be the only one. He's the only one I've seen so far that had any problems. While we're in here though, let's call up Serana and Valerica and make sure they're good too. So hit the tilde key, type help, space, quotation marks, Serana, quote, 0 to find her ID. There she is at the bottom, player.place at me 02002B6C. And let's take a look at Serana. There she is, and she doesn't have the dreaded blackface. That's good. All right, now let's look at Valerica and make sure does she have kind of a weird face though? No, that's just, okay, that's just the lighting. All right, good. Now let's check out Valerica. Let's go help, quotes, Valerica, quote, 0. And she's there at the bottom, player, whoops, typo. I can't type right now. Player.place at me 02003B8B. Okay, Valerica, where are you? There you are. All right, we're good. Serana and Valerica are both looking good. No other NPC blackface bugs, hopefully. All right, so just run around your game, guys. Check a lot of NPCs, their faces. I mean, that's mostly what we changed. Check the faces, the neck seams, the bodies. Make sure everything is looking good. Hopefully you won't run into... Get out of my way, dog! Oh my god, you guys. All right, this is making me want to get that Move It, Damn It mod in this load order because that's really frustrating. So check out the children. They're all changed from RS children. They should look a lot better than the standard vanilla children. Go around, just check various NPCs' faces, travel from town to town a bit, checking things out. And hopefully you guys won't have a lot of the blackface tent bug, but if you do, you now know how to fix it. So go and check things out, have a little fun, roam around, look at all the NPCs, see how they're doing, see how they're looking, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.